So now we're talking to Naureen Khan of Tech UK. What is Tech UK?
We're the trade association for the UK tech industry, so we represent members of all sizes, leading from FTSE 100 companies to small businesses and startups.
Are you the same thing as Intellect?
We are the new Intellect.
So Intellect has morphed into Tech UK?
That's right, so exactly.
Okay. And what is your role and responsibility there?
So I'm an Associate Director for Central Government, so I look after Cabinet Office, Government Digital Service, HMRC, DWP, and I'm also the lead for G-Cloud within Tech UK.
So your role is to represent the interests and positions of UK tech companies, and you have a dialogue with government?
Absolutely. So in terms of our role, we represent the interest of tech companies of all sizes, large, medium and small. We have 500 SME members. And we also work in partnership with government to ensure that they are working with the industry, particularly at the early stages of pre-procurement, and getting that feedback from the industry.
Okay. What does Tech UK think of G-Cloud and the digital marketplace?
So Tech UK, its predecessor, Intellect, was involved with the original G-Cloud proposal. We think G-Cloud has been a fantastic success. G-Cloud has certainly disrupted the marketplace, and we'd like to see it go from strength to strength.
There are critics of G-Cloud and the digital marketplace who feel it's not really had the impact it should have had. What is your organisation's response to scepticism?
So from Tech UK's perspective, we would say G-Cloud has had an impact on the market. If you see its spend on a monthly basis, it's increasing. Now, that figure in terms of the wider public sector IT spend is still small, but actually, given how long G-Cloud's been around, the scale and pace is certainly there. And what's great about G-Cloud is the sales volume and the number of suppliers getting onto the framework is increasing.
From the supplier's point of view, are you satisfied with all the mechanisms that have been put in place? There has been some concern in the press that not all the functionality of the cloud store was available, etc.
So Tech UK did a lot of work with our members, providing feedback on particular features of what was there previously to the new digital marketplace.
Yeah.
So we provided extensive feedback to the G-Cloud team on what our members highlighted were as concerns. So things like search terms, and kind of just being able to, it wasn't the most user-friendly.
And you see improvement there as a result of your feedback?
Yes, we do see improvement. I think there is still room for improvement, but I think that's what's great about G-Cloud. With each iteration, it gives you the opportunity to take the feedback from the users and continue to improve. Now, the key thing, I think, for G-Cloud is that engagement with the industry, keep that dialogue going and be open to the continual improvement.
What would you like to see happen next?
I'd like to see more of the public sector drive spend through G-Cloud. So we know the Home Office spends a lot and drives a lot of spend through G-Cloud, but I'd like to see it taken up, I'd like to see better take-up of G-Cloud and more spend being driven through G-Cloud across the public sector.
So you'd like other departments to do more G-Cloud work?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. In terms of your kind of message to your membership coming out of today's event, what do you think you'll go back and talk to them about?
I think continue to do more of the same. I think G-Cloud's an important route to market, and it's for suppliers, and it's going to be around. So for suppliers, for vendors who have an active interest in selling to the public sector, it's important that they embrace G-Cloud. That's the first thing. The second thing I would say is, once you're on G-Cloud, you then need to proactively, like with any business, then proactively promote your opportunity. So just being on G-Cloud doesn't necessarily mean you get the sales.
Right.
And that's a really important message. It's like with any framework. Once you're on the framework, that's the first step. Then actually winning the business, winning the deal is the second step. And it's understanding that two-step process. It's not, getting on G-Cloud and sitting there is not going to help you win business.
So people need to be more kind of proactive, perhaps in marcoms, in kind of engaging with the community?
Absolutely, absolutely. And also I think the public sector has a role there. So when there are opportunities, and CCS in terms of the procurement pipeline, when there are opportunities coming up, really are the departments using G-Cloud and suppliers proactively encouraging the departments to use G-Cloud.
Do you think we've solved the security issue with the G-Cloud? People were very concerned about that for a time.
So you're referring to the new security changes that have been introduced by CCS. So the feedback from the members have been mixed, and I think I would say it's too early to assess. We think it's in the right direction. It does remove the burden on small businesses. It's a little bit too early to say anything more than that.
To conclude for our time together now, what is your reaction as a representative of the UK tech industry to kind of where we are with G-Cloud? What's the temperature of the patient here?
We think it's in a good state. We think G-Cloud has been fantastic. It's really disrupted the market, and would like to see more of the same. That
sounds like a very positive,
absolutely, absolutely
supportive statement.
Absolutely. From the UK tech industry, from TechUK's perspective, we're very supportive of G-Cloud and would like to see G-Cloud grow, continue to grow at an even faster pace and scale.
Could G-Cloud go international? Should public sector organisations in Australia or China be buying from G-Cloud?
That's an interesting question, which that's certainly an interesting question. I think let's focus on the UK. Let's get it right in the UK because we still have a long way to go. And then...
But there's potential?
Possibly, yes. Okay. But I think focus on the UK market first.
Let's get that one right first.
Yep.
Can you give us an example of any specific outreach you've done to try and get the message about G-Cloud out to the marketplace?
So in terms of specific outreach we've done as the industry body with the government, we did a whole series of regional events across the UK. So we were in Newcastle, Manchester, Birmingham, Cambridge. And what was really good about those engagements is it was for suppliers and buyers.
Okay.
So we had suppliers in the morning and buyers in the afternoon. And the take-up and the appetite for those events was phenomenal. You
saw a groundswell of interest out there?
Hugely. Hugely. Okay. And from the supplier side, particularly those events in, say, Manchester and Newcastle, what was fantastic was to see new entrants to the public sector. So SMEs who were not on G-Cloud were sort of thinking about the public sector as a market, and then you came along. So for me, what was fantastic about those events and those sorts of outreach engagement is you're reaching new communities. You're not preaching to the converted, you're bringing in new communities, and that's I mean, that is what's fantastic about G-Cloud.
So would you say that G-Cloud is meeting its aim of involving more tech SMEs into the government supply chain?
I think G-Cloud has been very effective in enabling SMEs to do business with government. So if you look at the number of companies on G-Cloud, I think at the moment it's 1,500. That will no doubt increase. Over 50% are small businesses. So what G-Cloud has done is offered an effective route to market for small businesses.
There always were very high barriers to entry. You think they're coming down?
So in terms of barriers to entry to the public sector market, what our members tell us, so that's the 500 SME members within our membership, is that G-Cloud has made a massive difference in terms of doing business with government. It's simplified procurement. It's provided a much quicker and easier route to markets.